Welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, July 31st, 2020. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. St. Vincent and the Grenadines on Thursday confirmed 2 new COVID-19 cases. A news release from the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, said both cases arrived on American Airlines AA945 flight on Saturday, July 25th, 2020, and have been isolated since the receipt of their preliminary positive results. Both persons, NEMO said, are doing well and have no symptoms typical of coronavirus. It was further noted that all of the other 93 AA945 passengers who arrived from Miami on Saturday, July 25th have been released from mandatory hotel quarantine, having tested negative for the SARS-CoV-2 virus on day 5 of quarantine, and will continue in home self-quarantine for 9 more days unless otherwise advised. NEMO said the Vincentian who arrived on AA945 on July 18 had a preliminary positive on day 5 of quarantine was determined not to be an active case of COVID-19. That person, it said, has been released from isolation. The Air Canada 980 Vincentian passenger who arrived on July 23rd and was classified as a preliminary positive, however, remains under investigation. NEMO said 5 COVID-19 cases recovered as indicated by 2 negative results of PT-PCR tests, which means SVG has a total of 54 recorded COVID-19 cases, of which 44 have recovered. There are now 10 active COVID-19 cases in the country. The public is again being urged to work with the health and security services to keep SVG healthy. This, NEMO says, can be achieved once everyone adheres to all quarantine and isolation orders. And the Health Services Subcommittee of the National Emergency Management Committee has noted with concern the allegations made by a 22-year-old St. Lucian national who entered SVG on July 19, 2020, claiming that local health authorities erred with her COVID-19 test results. According to a news release from NEMO, the St. Lucian national was subjected to the required entry screening by port health officers on arrival at the Argyle International Airport on July 19th. This screening include a swab for a SARS-CoV-2 PCR test. NEMO said the swab was sent to the CAFRA Public Health Lab in Trinidad on July 20th, and a positive result was returned to the Health Services Subcommittee on July 21st. The St. Lucian national was informed of the results of her test and advised to isolate at home, as is in the norm of asymptomatic COVID-19 cases. NEMO said that the St. Lucian health authorities were also informed as required by public health protocols, and a copy of the CAFRA result was sent to them. It said as part of the multi-tier verification process, a second PCR test was done on the individual on July 23rd and another on July 27th, and both were sent to CAFRA for SARS-CoV-2 testing. Both were reported on July 29th as negative for SARS-CoV-2, the virus which causes COVID-19. The St. Lucian was informed of these results. NEMO said this sequence of positive to negative PCR results for SARS-CoV-2 is not unusual, as an individual may test positive at the end of their disease, so that subsequent tests are negative. Additionally, it was noted that the absence of sickness or symptoms in a person who is COVID-19 positive is a well-established fact. NEMO said a suggestion that the absence of symptoms proves that an individual does not have COVID-19 points to the urgent need for continuing education of individuals who hold these myths and misconceptions about COVID-19. In more health-related news, the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, in a news release today, said it has noted an increase in the incidence of dengue fever cases in SVG in the months of June and July 2020 as compared to the same period in previous years. This, it said, was picked up by routine surveillance activities, which revealed an overall total of 23 cases of dengue so far for the year. Over the last 7 years, the annual average number of dengue fever cases has been 15. In 2010 and again in 2012, there were outbreaks of dengue fever when 218 and 248 cases were recorded respectively. Dengue fever is endemic in SVG, which means that it is normal for there to be some persons in country with this viral infection that is transmitted through the bite of the Aedes aegypti mosquito, most probably to be the case during the rainy season. There have been recent surges in the number of dengue cases in many Caribbean countries over the last 12 months, including Jamaica and Antigua and Barbuda. Common symptoms of dengue fever include severe headache, joint pains, nausea, vomiting, skin rash, fever, and loss of appetite. Dengue fever is typically a self-limited infection, and though there is no specific cure, treatment includes fever and pain management and staying well hydrated by drinking lots of liquids as tolerated. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and Environment is urging the public to contact their healthcare providers if they experience any symptoms of dengue fever. Early medical care, it said, is important to reduce the likelihood of developing serious complications of dengue fever, which can be fatal. Reducing the population of mosquitoes carrying the dengue virus is a good way to reduce the spread of the dengue fever. The ministry said it's continued to do its part to reduce the number of dengue cases by educating the public, carrying out targeted fogging with insecticides, and conducting property inspections to identify and eradicate mosquito breeding sites, noting that the reduction of mosquito breeding in SVG is a shared responsibility. The ministry is urging home and property owners to also take actions to control the breeding of mosquitoes indoors and outdoors to reduce the risk of contracting dengue fever. The lifting of the ban to play amplified music, which came into effect on July 10th and expires on July 31st, 2020, has been extended effective August 1st, 2020 to August 31st, 2020. To this end, person or persons applying for such permission are expected to comply with all of the protocols relating to the prevention containment of the spread of the COVID-19 virus, including the newly developed and adopted recommendations for the managed conduct of mass gatherings with or without amplified music, issued by the Health Services Subcommittee of the National Emergency Committee COVID-19 Task Force, the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment. The government has declared August 3rd and 4th, 2020 as public holidays, which the RSVG Police Force said means Vincentians will be enjoying an extended weekend, and is strongly advising every citizen and visitor that whatever you choose to do over this long weekend, please do it in a safe and responsible way and to adhere to the protocols to contain the spread of the coronavirus. The National Insurance Services is advising all seafarers to register online for the Displacement Supplementary Income Program. The NIS said the online facility will be available from Wednesday, August 5th, 2020. All seafarers, it said, must have the following documents and information for the registration process: a passport biodata page, a contract letter or disembarkment letter, and a bank account number. A guide on the registration process will be provided on all social media platforms for the NIS on Wednesday, August 5th, 2020. Successful applicants are expected to receive $300 for the next 3 months. In other news, tomorrow, August 1st, 2020, is Emancipation Day, and a message from Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports, Cecil Sesmaki, for the occasion is for all Vincentians to embrace the African culture and heritage. Decked out in his African wear today, the minister told SVG-TV News that while there is no grand celebration for the day tomorrow due to the COVID-19 pandemic, persons are asked to reflect on the day and remember our forefathers who paved the way for the abolition of slavery.
We still want to be able to identify with our Africanness. We have emanated out of the heart and the bowels of Africa, and we want to maintain that identity and that link. So today you would find a number of persons across the public sector dressed in African outfits, as we have encouraged them to do. I think we can still have that necessary impact to remind persons where we have come from and the fact that we need to maintain those links with our home country, Africa.
According to the Cultural Minister, a number of activities planned for Emancipation Day 2020 were cancelled. However, he said his ministry supports two cultural events which will take place tomorrow, one at Sign Hill and the other in Union Island.
The ministry department, the activities of Idisha Jackson at Sign Hill, that would be an all-day affair at the Sign Hill Junction, where she will feature a number of things again connected to Africa, drumming, dancing, food, and several other activities, poetry, etc., all day at the Sign Hill Junction. So we are supporting Idisha in that regard. We are also supporting the group from Union Island, led by Mr. Edwin Snag. He's working with the group in Union Island. They featured very prominently in Carifesta 2019 in Trinidad and Tobago. So they would be putting on a series of activities down there on Saturday, the 1st of August.
And staff at several government ministries showcased the African fashion in observance of Emancipation Day at the workplace today. Over at the Public Service Commission and at the Cultural Department of the Ministry of Culture and Sports, staff shared the significance of Emancipation Day and what it means to them.
When I think of emancipation, I think of freedom, equality, and liberty. Freedom from physical and mental restraint for all. Equality, equal rights and justice, and liberty, living freely. I particularly chose white in my outfit. This is to show that we are really celebrating emancipation. We are being freed from bondage. Okay, so that's the reason why I chose white this morning. And I just had a little bit of, our African flavor to it.
It's not to be pessimistic about it, but it's to be conscious of the struggles of enslaved peoples, and particularly now in this global awareness of justice, so on. It bears significance to our heritage and to our way forward in acknowledging from whence we've come, in charting a brighter future for all our people.
It's an important part of our history that shows, again, that black people were still regarded as the lowest class of citizens and were not treated fairly. They were not compensated for all the labor they provided, free labor, under difficult conditions. It was the slave owners who were compensated. So hence why we have this reparation movement still going on. So emancipation is significant in that it changed the course of Vincentian history, but it also opened up another aspect of it.
Cultural Officer Maxine Brown coordinated the fashion wear showcase at the various ministries. She said raising awareness on emancipation through various forms is important.
I think of freedom. Freedom for me, freedom for you, freedom for all of us. Emancipation forces us to reflect on those persons who have toiled and fought and struggled for the rights and liberty we have now. Now, when I think of emancipation, I remember trailblazers, pioneers like Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, our very own E.T. Joshua, Martin Luther King, Floyd, who was all surrounds the Black Lives Matter, John Lewis, and all those persons who have fought for us to have this liberty we have now. Without them, we will not be here. And so it's important for us as the Department of Culture, and by extension, the Ministry of Tourism, Sport and Culture, to remember those persons who laid the foundation for us in terms of giving us political, economic, and social, including mental freedom.
Brung also coordinated a mini craft exhibition today at the Old Public Library. She said that despite the limited events for Emancipation Day 2020, she is hopeful that Vincentians will appreciate the activities held and use the time to reflect on the struggles for emancipation.
This month bears significance, and so we'll continue to invest as we reflect on those persons who I will have mentioned who have fought for us. In the end, it's important, I reiterate, to reflect and remember, because we want to leave that legacy for the next generation so that we can leave this love and freedom for our beloved community. When all is said and done, we have to let freedom reign.
Praedial larceny is one of the most common crime committed in police divisions across SVG, and the SVG police force is urging perpetrators to desist from depriving persons from their hard work. Speaking on the SVG Police Force Care Serve Protect Facebook program, Sergeant Cornelius Ross encouraged market vendors and traffickers to purchase produce or livestock from persons of reputable character and those with a farmer's ID.
Praedial larceny is a serious problem that we have in this country. Persons are working hard to produce their crops and to rear their animals. And it's difficult for our citizens who are working so hard to fall prey to praedial larceny, where persons are depriving them of their hard work or the yield. So I am imploring upon our citizenry to be on the lookout for these persons.
Sergeant Ross also encouraged the public to report all cases of praedial larceny to the police as soon as possible so that investigation can be done swiftly.
To the police in a timely manner so that investigations can be swift. Please do not delay. The longer you take to report these incidents, the longer it is going to take for you to get justice. We do not want, by the time you report the incident, your cattle, sheep, goat would have already been killed and is in a pot.
46-year-old bank clerk Yvonne Patterson of Green Hill, who was arrested and charged earlier this week in relation to the theft of over $340,000 from the Bank of SVG, has been granted bail. Patterson appeared before the Serious Offences Court today to answer additional charges related to the theft. She pleaded not guilty and was granted bail in the sum of $300,000 EC dollars with 2 sureties. She was also ordered to surrender all travel documents and report to the Central Police Station twice weekly. Patterson was additionally charged for disguising criminal property, to wit the sum of $389,155.95 deposited into the Bank of SVG in the name of Fitzroy Douglas Jr., which she knew or suspect in whole or in part directly or indirectly represent the proceeds of criminal conduct. She was further charged for entering into or becoming concerned in an arrangement which she knew or suspected facilitated by whatever means the acquisition, retention, use of control of criminal property by or on behalf of another person, to wit the sum of $389,155.95 received into the bank of SVG in the name of Fitzroy Douglas Jr., which she knew or suspected in whole or in part, directly or indirectly, represents the proceeds of criminal conduct at Granby Street, Kingstown, between June 1st and July 24th, 2020. Patterson's next court appearance is October 5th, 2020. This country is known for its rich agricultural tradition with a wide variety of crops, from leafy vegetables, ground provisions to tree crops. The Irish or English potato is consumed locally on a large scale, but unfortunately it is not grown locally. We hear more in this report on what is needed to grow the crop here.
From main dishes such as French fries, scalloped potatoes, mashed to baked potatoes, the Irish potato, also called as the English potato, is consumed locally in almost every household. But despite rich soils and what should be a favorable environment, the Irish potato is not grown in SVG. Nothing is, however, preventing an entrepreneurial individual from trying his luck and grow this important crop. I spoke with a representative from the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, CARDI, Mr. Gregory Linton, who said while this special brand of potato can grow here, a seed production system is absolutely necessary.
What we traditionally call seeds are just some smaller sized tubers, and that might be a little bit difficult for them to get. I mean, if you buy, for example, the tubers in the stores and you plant them, they will grow, but that's not practical. Nobody's gonna do that. Plant just buy tubers for growing. In some of the other islands, I think they have an arrangement with other countries where they a certain time of the year they would bring in the seeds and they would distribute it to select farmers and they would plant them. And I think some countries are also moving into trying to get local persons to actually do the seed production. So this is something that would have to put in place, as particularly for the Irish potatoes, the seed production system, so that they can have a supply of the seeds. And when I say seeds again, I mean the vegetative and planting material.
Linton identified areas which he believes possesses the soils perfect for Irish potato production.
There are varieties which are suited for the Caribbean. For example, Desiree is one of those varieties. There are others which can grow in the Caribbean in tropical environments. The soils we have here, they generally like soils that are not heavy, sandy towards the loamy soils. Our northeast coast, the soils in those areas are generally sandy. When you come down towards the soil, they become a little bit heavier. But we have the soil conditions here for growing them. In terms of pests and diseases, well, there are some fungal problems, late blight, early blight. So the early blight would be caused by Phytophthora, that's a water mold type fungus, and the late blight by Alternaria. So these are some of the major problems, and we will just have to try to manage them as well.
The CARDI rep said given the potential of the crop and its importance to the local diet, Irish potato locally produced can have tremendous benefits.
In some of the other islands, for example Jamaica and Dominica, they produce a lot of those crops. In Jamaica, I think they're even self-sufficient in Irish potatoes. All right, so with COVID, and the risks to food security and general food security on a whole, those are things that I don't know in the future we can consider going into, so that we can help to reduce our food import bill, and create employment opportunities for our young people.
For SVG-TV's Evening News, I am Bob Oliver.